Roger Federer, the embodiment of grace, composure, and effortless talent. To the world, he was elegance personified, the perfect forehand, the calm smile, the sportsman every rival respected. But behind that polished exterior lived something far more human. Federer was not immune to frustration. In moments of struggle, the mask of serenity would sometimes slip, revealing anger, disappointment, even despair. His racket would shatter, his voice would rise, his emotions laid bare for all to see. These rare glimpses remind us that beneath the artistry, Federer was, above all else, a competitor. A man driven by an unrelenting will to win, who demanded perfection from himself in every match, every point, every stroke. Today, we uncover this lesser-known side of Federer, not just the graceful champion, but the fighter who burned with raw, competitive fire. In his teenage years, Federer was anything but calm. Far from the serene champion the world would later know, the young Swiss was fiery, impatient, and often volatile. He regularly argued with umpires, slammed rackets into the court, and let his emotions spill out without hesitation. Coaches remember him not only as one of the most gifted juniors they had ever seen, but also one of the most temperamental. Yet, hidden within that storm was a relentless hunger, the spark of a competitor who hated losing more than anything else. Over time, that fire would not disappear, but it would be reshaped. Federer learned to harness it, to channel those emotions into precision, patience, and control. The teenager who once let anger consume him would grow into the man the world came to admire, a master of grace, yet still burning with the same unyielding drive beneath the surface. By the early 2000s, Federer began an internal transformation. The once hot-headed junior was evolving into something entirely different. Through meditation, fitness, and intense mental training, he learned to master his emotions. The racket-smashing teenager was replaced by a calm, composed figure who appeared unshakable under pressure. But the truth is that fire never vanished. It didn't fade, it simply went underground. Behind the quiet nods and effortless strokes remained the same fierce competitor, the same hunger to dominate, the same refusal to accept defeat. What changed was not the intensity of his drive, but the way it was expressed. Federer learned to weaponize serenity itself, turning composure into a psychological edge. His opponents often looked across the net and saw a man impossible to rattle, but within him still burned that restless fire, the same force that had once driven his temper, now redirected into greatness. Even in his prime, pressure sometimes cracked the surface. Wimbledon 2008, the epic duel against Rafael Nadal. For hours, Federer stood tall, but as the light faded and the match slipped away, the calm exterior wavered. His clenched jaw, his desperate swings, they revealed a champion wrestling with the unbearable weight of defeat. A year later, at the 2009 US Open final against Juan Martín del Potro, the frustration boiled over more visibly. Words with the umpire, a rare loss of control, the kind of outburst Federer had long kept buried. These were not just defeats, they were windows into the competitor behind the grace. Moments where perfection faltered, where composure gave way to raw human emotion. And yet, it was precisely this blend of elegance and vulnerability that made Federer's story so compelling. Even the greatest were not immune to the fire of frustration. And for Federer, it was proof that beneath the artistry he was still fighting with everything he had. Look at the subtle cues, the clenched jaw after a missed opportunity, the longer glances at the racket strings as if searching for answers hidden in the tension, the deliberate deep breaths drawn slowly to keep emotions from spilling over. These may seem like small gestures, but they are windows into the inner battle Federer fought during his toughest moments. Behind the calm exterior was a constant struggle, the competitor wrestling with himself, forcing composure to hold back frustration. Each pause, each breath was part of a ritual to stay centered under fire. Competitive nature didn't only manifest in frustration, it fueled his brilliance. What set him apart was not just the elegance of his strokes, but the mind directing them. A sudden slice to disrupt rhythm, a change of pace to draw errors, a perfectly timed drop shot to shift momentum. These weren't just shots, they were chess moves, calculated to outthink as well as outplay his opponent. Federer's genius lay in this blend of artistry and strategy, where psychology was as important as technique. Every glance, every variation in spin was part of a larger plan. For Federer, Winning wasn't just about hitting harder or moving faster, it was about staying 2 steps ahead, using the mind as his greatest weapon on the court. In interviews, Federer has admitted that keeping his emotions in check was one of his greatest challenges. He once reflected, "I used to be very emotional on court. I had to figure out how to channel it." These words reveal more than a passing thought. They uncover a man who deliberately engineered his on-court persona. The calm, graceful Federer the world admired was not simply a natural gift, but the result of years of discipline, reflection, and conscious effort. Every deep breath, every measured reaction, was part of a transformation he built step by step. He understood that mastery of the mind was as important as mastery of the forehand. And in shaping his emotions, Federer created not just a champion's game, but a champion's image, a persona of composure that became as much a weapon as his serve, his speed, and his shot-making artistry. Fans see Federer as a serene artist, gliding across the court with effortless grace. But the reality is far more complex. Beneath the calm exterior lies a relentless competitor, a man who despises defeat and will fight until the very last point. This tension between serenity and intensity defines his legacy. On one hand, the elegance, the flowing movement, the flawless technique, the sense that tennis was easy in his hands. It is this duality, the perfect balance of artistry and willpower, that makes Federer timeless. More than just a champion, he became a symbol of how beauty and grit can coexist, shaping not only victories, but an enduring story that still inspires the world. Federer's legacy isn't defined solely by trophies or style, it's about mastery of self. Even the greatest feel doubt, frustration and fire. What sets them apart is not the absence of those emotions, but how they choose to channel them. Federer turned volatility into composure, and raw intensity into elegance. The player who once smashed rackets became the symbol of grace under pressure. And yet, behind the artistry, the fire always remained. So the question lingers. Was it this hidden competitive streak, the anger, the hunger, the refusal to lose, that truly fueled his greatness? To truly understand the complexity behind tennis's most timeless legend, Federer's journey is one of relentless pursuit. And if you want to keep exploring the stories, the moments, and the greatness of tennis, subscribe to Tennis Scenes. Stay updated, stay inspired, and keep witnessing the beauty of the game.